Morning, guys. Just taking a quiet walk again this morning and spending some time in contemplation. I was thinking about a quote I heard the other day about contemplation. To take a long, loving look around you and to see that everything has meaning, including even suffering. And that really got me thinking when I heard that the other day. And after living with sickness for over 35 years, I've tried to find meaning in suffering, and what I have found is that the suffering that I have had, the sickness, has drawn me down into these more quieter places of contemplation to seek and to look, I guess, for meaning and hope and something more outside of the physical body. And I guess it's helped me to see and to know at some level that there's far more going on below the surface than there is on the surface, if you like. So for me, I think contemplation has allowed me to be transformed. You know, that scripture talks about being transformed by the renewing of your mind. And partially what's happening for me is I've seen a slow, very slow by the way, very slow transformation of the mind into something that's, I guess, more level. It's not as up and down, it's not sort of as emotional, but it's really kind of more settled, and it's more at peace. It's more, I guess, in a zone where it feels more mystical, if you like, connected to the earth, connected. That's why I find myself more and more and more in places like this, where I'm connected I feel connected to the earth. I feel connected to the creation in ways I haven't before. So my mind's being renewed as I've got out of, I guess, the egoic sort of mind, the racing, fast monkey mind that just, is constantly grasping for answers or reasons, which is constantly wrestling between making choices between good and evil all the time, and it's like this futile exercise. So to step out is to step into this other world, in a sense, a very transcendent world that takes me down, just as I'm going down here very timely, down into places such as this that are places of rest, places where the soul can truly be at rest. I think this is Jesus' invitation: come unto me, all you that labour and are heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. I don't see a lot of rest happening. I see a lot of running, I see a lot of racing, I see a lot of activity, and I see that most people, so many people, are not finding rest at all. In fact, they're finding that they're exhausted, that they're far from transcending this world. They're kind of like caught up in it, and the battle is real. It's a tough gig to try and find a sort of a spiritual alignment, if you like, where your mind, your body, your soul and your heart come in and can love God from the very center of your being, and I guess you can know and understand. And this contemplation for me is really becoming about being still enough to get to know who God is, to know that God is everything and everywhere, and I'm just a part of that larger story. I talk a lot about this larger story thing. It's something that's really impacted me hugely over the last 10 years or more. We are not individuals, but part of the whole, part of the greater. And somehow contemplation, I think, the stilling of the heart and the mind, the getting to the slowing down and becoming still enough to hear the voice of God within us, can reconcile us with that. We can become reconciled. So in that case, suffering can have meaning. Suffering can take us out of the world that we've become a part of and slow us down and stop us enough to get reflective and to realize that we have a part to play, even in our suffering, even in the things that we suffer. we are, I think Paul said something about filling up the sufferings of Christ. Now, I'm not still getting that, but there's something about the sufferings that we all face, the pain, the grief, the loss, the tough times that actually enable us to, I guess, connect deeper into the world, deeper into this creation, this world, I mean, not the world system, to fall into this place in a sense, to seek this as our inner place, our inner temple, if you like, where God is indeed present, as God is present everywhere. So we don't need to go anywhere in particular to find this place, for it's right there within us. So if you couldn't even get out of the house, for example, you can still find the still place within you. But it's a matter of practicing the presence of God, I think. I remember reading way back some guy, Brother Lawrence, who was some sort of a monk or something. I can't remember his full story, but it really impacted me even as a young man when I was racing around 100 miles an hour, trying to build houses, trying to do well for the family, trying to get, things going, small businesses. As an entrepreneur, I was buzzing around always with 1,000 ideas. But this guy really impacted me, this Brother Lawrence. He was talking about just this one particular thing where he was talking about in this book, practicing the presence of God, was that he found that he was just at home with God when he was peeling the potatoes for the evening meal as he was in the greatest of the sanctuaries within the world. And it really struck me that maybe we've got it upside down. Maybe we've thought of, relationship with God about, great events and great sort of worship, maybe in a bunch of people, for example. Maybe we're amongst that and there's this movement of spirit as we sort of get in there and sing and worship, and those things are great, but maybe it's possible to find even more of God in the stiller, quieter places of our lives. Just while we're peeling the potatoes, vacuuming the floor, going to work, doing our everyday life stuff. Is it possible to find God there? I think through contemplation it is, by establishing a contemplative mind, I guess, killing off the egoic mind, really, dying to the egoic mind, dying, crucifying, if you like. Those are the Christian words for these things. Maybe we can find these deeper places where we actually are at rest. Think about how much anxiety is around the place. Like I know about anxiety. It's part of what I suffer from the chronic fatigue thing that I have, which I found out in recent years that I'm actually missing a stress gene. So I've got these genetic defects. So I did the DNA test, found out I had 17 genetic defects. And one of those was that I don't have a stress gene, so that I don't cope with stress like the next person who does have this particular small gene that, I don't know, whatever it does, but it gives you the ability to cope with stress. So I don't cope with stress well at all. I get anxious very easily when I get overwhelmed. And so most of my life I've had anxiety at some level. And I know many of us have got this particular, low-lying or even full-on anxiety. Contemplation, I think, is, and this is what God's been showing me recently, is the place or the time or the space where we can leave the anxious mind, even if it's just briefly. Sometimes it's a matter of seconds, honestly. 30 seconds, a minute, a couple of minutes, and we get free from that anxious mind, and it just gives us a hope, I think. And this is the transforming of the mind. So it happens in gradual, incremental stages, I believe. So we're kind of like in this space where it's like, and then we slow ourselves down by breathing deeply and just bringing ourselves to rest within in our chest, in our inner self. We can sense, I think, a greater stillness both in and around us at that time, and we sense the presence of God, and it gives us hope that that is a real thing, even if it's so brief. And that gives us desire, I believe. So it's sort of like a process of transformation, an incremental process. We desire that more because, like, hey, who doesn't want peace, mate? Who loves running around with anxiety? I know I don't. I hate it. Continually find myself in these anxious situations, and yet the transformation of the mind continues as I go to these quiet and stiller places. I know that this is what I'm made for, you know. I'm made for this, me and God at rest together. What an incredible and amazing thing that is. I'm just loving that. I'm loving that, and I want to share that with others, because I know, certainly my work as a counsellor over the last 10 years, I've seen that anxiety, panic attacks, depression are huge. And no one's immune from these things, and depending on your past and your upbringing, you can be, you know, at one extreme or the other of that, but they're very real for people, and it's absolutely full on. We need peace. We're looking for something to transcend our everyday life, to transcend our experience that we know now, and to learn new experience. And that's what contemplation is about. Getting down into yourself, down into the depths of spirit, where spirit is dwelling within you, and through spirit we connect into the spirit that is everywhere, God's spirit that is everywhere in the creation. Can you feel the peace here today? Can you feel a sense of that? Just even a momentary invitation into the depths of silence. Can you hear the creation and the rhythm, the unforced rhythms of grace that are around us, that rhythm of creation which moves at such a slower pace than we do? Can we bring ourselves, I guess, into alignment with that speed, rather than racing at, let's say, 100 kilometres an hour? Maybe the speed limit of the creation is 70, and we're going at 100 flat out, and it's over revving our motor. Let's just bring it back down. Come to a level of contemplation, of stillness, and in that place to find our rest. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope you have a great day.